record to the cloud. All right, so first we'll start with introductions of our speakers. We're going to have two guest speakers today. We are introducing Aaron Brossoit from Golden Shovel Agency. Aaron is the CEO and founder. It is a firm that specializes in communications for economic development. Aaron is going to be discussing his company, Golden Shovel, and also trends in technology for promoting sites and real estate. And he'll be focusing on virtual reality, virtual site tours, and 3D visualizations. So Aaron, would you be willing to wave your hand and let everybody know who you are? There's Aaron. Thank you. Our second guest speaker today is Kevin Toal. Kevin Toal is the founder of Content Studios. Let's see, Kevin is, he saw the potential for marketing professional video content and 3D technology within the commercial market. Today, Kevin will discuss what Content Studio offers and information on their thinking outside of the box ways to get you the best results. So Kevin, if you want to give another wave and let everyone know who you are. Thank you, Kevin. Aaron and Kevin are both going to spend about 20 minutes and then we'll have some time for questions in between as well. And if you don't mind, I'm going to start with you, Mark. If you just introduce yourself briefly, and then I'll just call out the names as I see them on the screen.
Good afternoon. We've got two people here for the City of St. Michael. My name is Mark Weigel, and I'm the Community Development Director for the city, so Planning and Economic Development.
I'm also here, Nadine Shane, and I'm part of the St. Michael City Council.
Thank you for joining, Mark and Nadine. Jennifer, I see you're with us. Do you mind introducing yourself?
Hey everyone, I'm Jennifer Nash. I'm the city administrator for the city of Hanover, which also functions as the EDA director.
Thanks, Jennifer. Nice to see you. Patrick, I've got you next. Do you got a minute to introduce yourself? Maybe Patrick is busy. We can come back to you. I see Tom is on. Tom, could you introduce yourself today?
Sure, I'm Tom Gooder. I'm Director of Planning for Laux. We're an engineering surveying company and Director of Planning for land use opportunities. So glad to be here.
Fantastic. Thanks, Tom, for joining us. I know Sheila said she's on the phone. Sheila, could you introduce yourself?
Yep. I'm Sheila Zagman. I'm with Commercial Realty Solutions out of our Buffalo office, and we also have an office in St. Cloud.
Thanks, Sheila. Sheila's on our board as well. Patrick, are you able to introduce yourself now?
Yes, I finally figured out my computer and how to unmute myself. So my name is Patrick Baumgart. I'm with Century Bank in St. Cloud, and I am also on the committee.
Yeah, both Sheila, Patrick, and Mark are members of our board of directors at the partnership. And then I have one more guest. I'm not sure who you are. You are on a phone number. Are you willing to introduce yourself?
It might be me. This is Dane from US Bank. I do SBA loans here in the Twin Cities and Greater Minnesota, and just thought I'd listen in to hear what's going on in Wright County.
Fantastic. You said Dane from US Bank?
Correct.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We may see more join in as we go. I'll watch the waiting room, but we're going to go ahead and get started. So Aaron, I'm going to hand it over to you.
All right. Thanks, Jolene. And thanks, everybody. Glad you can make it today. For those of you on the phones, unfortunately, my presentation is incredibly visual. So I'll just try to talk in this radio voice and try to explain what I'm looking at and seeing. As Jolena mentioned, my name is Aaron Brossoit. I own a company called Golden Shovel Agency. We are an economic development communications firm that currently works with something about 260 some communities in North America and internationally. And we do a lot of kind of the full spectrum communications and marketing for communities and counties. We have a lot of clients in Minnesota, which is I'm happy to say. And today I'm going to show you just a little bit of something kind of down in some newer things that we've been working on as far as promoting building sites and communities that are from afar using virtual reality. And so first of all, I'll just touch on the types of things we've been working on. Let's start right here. We've been doing a lot of these 360 videos, which I'm going to show you guys a little bit about. Doing a fair amount of tours of buildings, like site tours and lot tours, and then doing 3D renderings that can be applied. And then all of this is brought into and usable inside a virtual reality app that we've developed. And I'll be able to show you a little bit of that today. This all started back in 2017. We did our first 3 virtual familiarization tours. And back in the day, they didn't have the same technology that we have available to us now, which is a lot more lightweight. In fact, the best thing we could find at the time was a PlayStation 4, and you'd have to get it all plugged in and look like you're in Tron when you're wearing it. This is at the International Economic Development Conference in Toronto, and this gentleman, Greg Wasmansdorf's a site consultant from Newmark, and we worked with him to get advice and other site consultants on what they're looking for when they go on these familiarization tours and on these site tours. And so what we're showing you today is, in a funny way, it's the same type of information you'd provide if you brought people into your community with the interest of being able to use it from afar. So there he is. The cool thing, what he's looking at, I don't know if you can see the TV for the people on the phone, you cannot. It's actually the port of Duluth. And so one of the very first FAM tours we did was up there with the Apex group. And when he finished watching this video, he takes his headset off and he's like, I feel like I've been there. So we were just all like, yeah, because that was the whole goal of it. So today, this is the technology we've been using, and the most recent. This is the Oculus Quest 2. What's great about this is you don't need a briefcase to haul around a PlayStation and wire it all up. Instead, it's very portable. You can stick in your backpack and be able to use this technology both for the interactive meetings as well as showing people the various videos. The magic of VR, and the reason we've been so focused on it, is because when you're fully immersed inside a headset, it actually tricks your brain into thinking that you're visiting a place. So if something's moving in front of you and you're following it with your eyes, your brain kind of gives up. It's different than when you're sitting in your office watching a presentation. Your brain knows it's in the office. And so it gets the same type of thing that happens when you travel to a new place and you don't know the language, perhaps you're a little on edge. Your body like physically opens up receptors in the brain that allow you to take in way more information, up to 75% more than other types of media that exist. And so that's the magic. And once you've tried the VR, especially in a 360 video, it's something you don't forget. And so when you're out and afar and you're showing somebody your community where they can't be there physically, it's the best possible way to give them a little feeling of what it might be like to stand there in the highlights and best places of your community. We've been working a lot on FAM tours, which are these familiarization tours. And these are the good types of businesses for your community. And then it goes into like, here's the universities and the workforce programs, and all the way down into like, here's the nightlife, here's the best places to go canoeing and hiking and mountain biking. And we've been doing a lot of these site tours, trying to show off what these buildings are look like. We've done tourism today and economic development. Half the game is workforce attraction. That's the other area. So if you're an employer and you're trying to hire people, one really cool thing to do is to actually make your whole tour of your facility in VR. And then when you're at a job fair, when they're not on site, you can show them sometimes even the very job they'd be doing and show them what it's like. And it's had a lot. We've been doing it all over the country, about 80 some projects now. This is a Minnesota native right here. This is Greg Kolbjornsen. He's standing on top of a water tower in York, Nebraska, where we were shooting some video and giving you an idea of how we can clip these cameras onto all sorts of different things to get some pretty exciting shots. And what our economic development groups are doing with these is they're putting them online, they're bringing them to trade shows and showing them to people, and then having meetings with them virtually. So one of the things that we've been trying to combine is this feeling of being in a place, particularly on site tours, and the ability to create a vision for what that might be like. So it feels like you're standing there, but you're looking at something that isn't actually there at the same time. It's almost like the augmented reality idea where you're, until that technology is available, this is an interesting way to do it. I think what I'll do for those that, I'll show you just a couple of these. here's an example. This is an old mining site in Eastern Kentucky. And you can see that it's not that much to look at, but then suddenly you can put on a whole 3D building that can make this vision of an advanced manufacturing site. For those of you on the phone, you'll just have to know it looks really cool. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you guys a little bit of a video clip because this will be more fun and see, give you an idea what this looks like. Okay, so can you guys see this? Am I sharing my screen? Not yet.
Nope, we can, oh, there we go. There it is.
Okay, I'll just show you a couple of these, how they work. But what we're doing is we're taking the 360 video and then dropping in various types of facilities depending on what the vision is for that site. And so often these are just cornfields. There's like soybeans on the ground, or these places are just are knocked over. And so we're able to do that. Then the other thing we've been doing of the visualization for facilities that exist, where you don't need to put in a whole VR piece, is the Matterport technology for commercial real estate, so that we can go in there. And what it does is you take a photo every 10 feet with a camera that ties it all together into a giant 3D model. It makes like a dollhouse version, and it's so accurate that from afar you can actually make measurements and stuff to figure out if your equipment's going to fit properly into the facility. And so that's just an example of a couple of those. And for the really big ones, we do, because the cameras don't work as well, we end up using the 360 technology within the building and just walk through it and show it off in that spherical look. Let me jump back to my other one moment. Okay, you guys, can you see this? There you go. Got that? Am I back? Okay, cool. Oopsie, now I'm just getting lost. Okay. So then the last kind of area that we've been working on, I'm going to actually just try to pull this one up. Bear with me. We've built an app that allows us to meet with people inside of it so that you can bring people on live tours of the actual 360 videos and look at them. And so you'll see what this looks like. Is that guy's loading up for you all right? So what this is in this app is we made it so you can, starts off in a lobby, and you have a virtual conference table that we can put inside any of these 360 spherical locations. So it feels like you're sitting there. Like in this example here, I have a couple colleagues. They're sitting across the table from me. We're looking around the office where you start. And then from there, you can bring people onto these tours. And when you bring them inside the 360 videos, like these guys, they look like little, they're like little avatars. They have their LinkedIn photos for the face mask. I'm running the show right now. And so here I am pulling up this particular one. Here we are on that Eastern Kentucky site. And what's interesting about this, I'm pointing right now and they can see my hands. They can't see the controllers. I'm pointing out this building. And for their experience, I can now talk to them in real time. So I can sit there and explain to why this might be a good site for their specific prospective business, or if it's a site consultant about what they're representing. That train right there in the background that's going by, that's a real train that is cruising by at that particular moment. But now I can go a little closer, take them to a different location in the video. And this train on the right is a fake train. This is one we put in. That's a 3D model, put in the actual rail spur to show how it might be a good fit for that site. And then we could wrap it all with the exact service of the train that's going to be servicing that particular site. And now it just disappears like some kind of ghostly effect, but it gives you a little feeling. So, you know, just showing up at a site that's just a pile of rocks or just a bunch of soybeans, and then next thing you know, you feel like you're there, and it doesn't even exist. Beyond being able to just bring people into the 360 videos, which is kind of the nature of the tours. Here I just switched perspectives. Now you can see me. I'm hanging out in my avatar suit. I can pull up a slideshow of some sort, like in this case, just a PDF, and I'm going to go through and give you a presentation. So you can pull up additional data about the site, just like you would normally. We're trying to recreate the experience of actually having a in-person familiarization tour, and talk a little bit of, show off a little bit about that. And then lastly, we can pull up 3D models too, so that if we make these 3D models, why not have them show up on the conference table in front of you? And then you can interact with those and show them off. Or we've been making, we'll take like a Google Earth projection and make like a slice of a specific site, and then we can upload that into this VR app and give them the experience. So in this case, either the site consultants, oh yeah, here I just changed locations. I'm in Eastern Oregon, did a bunch of these videos and worked on that neck of the woods. But you can get the site consultant and really, well, just makes it really real. And you send them the headset, or they have the headset. Early on, we just sent them to places. And if it's a big enough project, you just buy them one. Like one of these headsets is about $299, something like that. If it's a smaller prospect, then you send it to them and add a mailing label, and then have them go and send it back when they're done. And then lastly, I'll just kind of wrap up a little bit about where all of this stuff is going. And I'm going to turn my slideshow back on here. And as you might have recalled, at the end of October, you may have heard the term metaverse. And this guy, Mr. Zuckerberg, changed his whole company name to Meta in anticipation of what's going to be the future of the internet and how it's going to create presence when we can meet with each other in this metaverse space. And ironically, the definition of metaverse is a virtual reality space in which users can interact with a computer-generated environment and other users, which is what I just showed you. And that's what we've built. So what's kind of neat is that eventually this is all going to be located in some sort of metaverse where you'll go and do economic development. For now, via an app that we can do this now, and it's already being used around the country. A little bit about where some of this is going. Just to give you an example of this one on the left here is a chamber down in down in San Diego, and there's an avatar that's in there, and they made a whole chamber so they could have chamber meetings inside the metaverse. Over on the right, this guy is the head of the Silicon Valley virtual reality meetup that I was attending. I was living in California the last 8 years. That guy's avatar is on the screen behind him, and it was shot with 150 cameras and it was as realistic as he is, almost. And there he is standing next to himself. So we're really going to look like ourselves at some point, or I like to think slightly better versions of ourselves. And then at some point, it's going to switch as the technology is made available to augmented reality. And the same technology is going to work the same way, but we're going to be able to bring in the buildings and put them right on the site, and with some glasses where you can look through and see the site and be able to see the vision of the developers and of the prospects, and be able to meet our guests, and they'll be there with us. We're really, really close to this already, and you're going to see this technology flourish over the next couple of years, especially. And so I did just put on here, there's a ebook that's downloadable off our website with 5 case studies that we put together of some of the VR projects that we did, and you can check that out. It's called Small Town Big Tech. So great, thanks. That's my 20 minutes, folks. I'm going to pass it back to you, Jolene.
Aaron, that was fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I am blown away, and I feel like we're on the verge of almost like sci-fi when we're looking at some of these innovations that you're putting into place. I'm excited that I've known you for a number of years. I'm proud that I can call you my friend, and I know that you've helped out a lot of communities in Minnesota, and you've really branched out across the nation. So great job, Aaron, and thanks again for being here.
Oh, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Did any of our audience have any questions for Aaron right now before we move on to Kevin? Otherwise, we might have a couple minutes at the end, or you can certainly put your questions in the chat box or email them to me after the event. Anybody? He did such a great job of explaining. So Very good. Thanks again, Aaron. And I'm going to hand it over to Kevin now. Kevin, thanks for being here today. I'm excited to hear about Content Studios. I know that you're a fairly newer company, if I recall. So if you want to let our audience know a little bit about how you got started and where you're headed, and then go ahead and take it over. Thanks, Kevin.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jolene, and great presentation, Aaron. That was fantastic. It's fun to see what's going through VR, and have not included that into Content Studios yet, but futuristic type of products are always invigorating, and seeing how we can be more efficient. So props to you. Essentially, I've met actually with a few people that are in this call. Sheila Zachman actually stood out. We met through the Minnesota Shopping Center Association, but I'm just trying to do the best that I can to introduce myself to the commercial real estate community. And when I mean commercial real estate, that's obviously such a broad group of people. So more specific, I mean, it could range from brokers to general contractors, designers, developers, owners, even municipalities, as evidently Jolene and I first connected. Essentially I started a business right once the pandemic hit, early 2020, was graduated from college, and then like I said, the pandemic hit, and had this idea since 2019 of bringing certain technologies that I found were working really well within residential real estate, and then amplifying them even more within commercial real estate. Aaron spoke and alluded to Matterport, which was those 3D virtual tours, the interactive tours. So that's a perfect instance where essentially, I mean, it was like nobody within commercial real estate, just even at the broker level, had these types of technologies, except, a few listings here and there, where they needed to come up with a decision on how are you going to showcase this space without actually being there in person. So I see a similarity there between Aaron and I, but started Content Studios. The idea is honestly to showcase properties, land listings, any type of commercial property to further market, work into marketing efforts for whatever company. Like I said, it ranges. But more specifically, working into video, photography, drone footage, 3D tours, but also working into how do we sell the vision of a space. And this can work into a number of different ways, whether it be on the design side and the internal communications aspect of what's this particular area going to look like, whether it be on the broker side of how do we reimagine this white box vacancy into actually coming up with a visual to help share, because from what they're seeing, they're going into these spaces and they're saying, well, look at all the opportunities. And for me, that's much of a laugh, because I don't think people have that visual, visual personality, if you will, to help understand that. So having a visual aid that helps share that vision is obviously important. So specifically rendering animation videos, the 360 view, a little bit similar to Matterport, and images as well. And then, like I said, any way we can enhance communications, Aaron nailed it with Matterport, but any way we can work throughout the space, make any changes for contractors, subcontractors, architects, if you will. And above all else is like, how do we differentiate? Most of the listings that I see on LoopNet or Mincar, it could be a Google Earth view, maybe a floor plan, and information about demographics, and that's about it. And so again, what we find within residential real estate, albeit two completely separate markets, they have dominated within the past 5 to 10 years by implementing more content, more photos, more videos, more 3D tours for the purpose of allowing people to make decisions without even being there. And so I think that's heading in the direction of commercial real estate, where we can help amplify those listings accordingly. And it's such an early adoption stage right now, where the people that are going to grasp onto it first are going to be able to take off. And like I said, back to the main point is being able to differentiate. So I initially reached out to Jolene about land listings and how can we market land parcels within the Wright County area. So I'll start with that. And I just want to make sure you guys can see my screen. Can you? Okay,
Yes.
great. So this is a land listing right next to the Mall of America. I believe I've turned the volume off. Okay, good. I'll just talk over it. But so we're reimagining its offering memorandum. So this is a Google Earth view. This is not the actual drone footage, but showing highway access points, vehicles per day, and then going in, and we have existing drone footage, and we're layering property lineage, 3D text on top of it to help share, okay, what is it exactly that we're looking at? When you're looking at a land listing, especially from the ground level, which Aaron's like the first person that I saw that actually did at the ground level and succeeded. I've had people ask me, can you take photos of this without the drone? And to me, it's like a big question, like, why would you do that if you didn't have the graphics to help show that? So again, I tip my hat to Aaron, but showing this from the drone level and seeing, okay, we have the Metro Blue line that's right next to here. This keeps on highlighting the lineage, but I'll show you a few other things like we're pointing towards the Minnesota Valley National Wildlife Refuge and having a lower left third to help speak to what we're looking at. Right next to Skywater Technology. So in this instance, the Opportunity Zone is a technology company or technology and innovation. So something that can mimic that as well, that's right nearby, is important as well. So if we can highlight and sell things that are nearby, surrounding amenities, landmarks, features, what is it that we're looking at and why is that going to bring people to the site, I think is most important, in it being a preliminary video before the prospect even comes towards the broker or towards the developer or what have you, because it's a great separator between tire kickers and true prospects that can actually go down the purchasing funnel and enhancing the site accordingly. So naturally, that's what I was drawn towards, was bringing these land listings forward. A little bit more on the broker side, but it can also work towards economic development, of course, and being like, hey, how can we bring more recognition to this county, this city? And I think there was plenty of opportunities or really good deals out there where people just don't know where the area is in proximity or have enough information based off that with the actual visuals to show accordingly. So that's the first thing that I think about is land listings. Now let me show you, we talked about renderings. So this is another one where city approval is obviously an issue in moving things forward for a ground up project. So we're using existing drone footage, and I got to turn this music off. Using existing drone footage, and then we're layering our renderings on top of this pre-existing site. It's an old U.S. bank, and we're just putting it on top of it to help show, okay, for context, this is right next to the Edina Galleria. You can see the Edina water tower right there. But just an overview of, okay, what is it exactly we're looking at? Multifamily on the right side, office, retail, the US bank that they're going to remodel, and then a parking lot on the side. And then, so not only from the drone view, but then also going into a more cinematic ground level feel and vibe and overall idea of what it is that we're looking at. So this is important, I would say, for a couple of reasons. One, like I was talking about in the first place, would be to help move forward with city approval. Helping those types of decision makers understand, okay, this is what the site actually looks like. Images obviously do a great job, but I in my strong and humble opinion, video is the standard in today's medium. So helping them show, okay, what is the surrounding area? And then what is it exactly we're creating and why are we doing this? And so that's why I feel like video is so effective to help show to the city what this project is. Second would probably be, pre-leasing efforts, right? So if you want to build a building and you're looking for new tenants, that's obviously important. And so, like I said, we updated the signage for both prospective tenants in both the office and the retail side. And then even speaking more towards the multifamily as well, where it's a little bit more, I guess it would be more direct to consumer versus business to business, but help showing, okay, what is this going to look like X amount of months in advance to help build those occupancy rates starting day one. Third would be credibility. This was a new developer in this instance, and so he was just trying to basically gain a reputation, enhance his reputation in working with the city to help being like, yeah, trying to be transparent with exactly what we're doing, and we have these visuals to show it, and this is how I wish to gain credibility within continuing to develop within again this context Edina. So plenty of potential within the market. I would say it's like less than 1% of listings have something like this, whether it be on the developer side and within even architecture itself. Architecture firms ideally would do this, but they can't even keep up and are starting to outsource within renderings as a result. So what would normally be a 40-hour week for just basic rendering images, sub-quality rendering images at that has turned into an 80-hour week. So how do they work with all the new projects, whether it be tenant improvement, whether it be ground up or existing? That's what I think of when I think of the next level within this current medium, that is sharing this on whoever's website, LinkedIn, and so forth. So we talked about land listings with video. We can also speak more towards, so would just obviously like to stop showing, you're playing the music, but just rewind and show you, okay, we do have these abilities to point towards things that are important and that are selling points, and work accordingly. And then working into the interior as well. Showcasing videos for, let's say, it could be a Class A building space. In this instance, where this is Nelson Worldwide, and they helped improve this particular lobby, but just having an overall good quality video of what the space looks like. I see so much potential, especially if you're looking at these spec suites that are coming into play within the office side. If you're trying to enhance convenience of the prospective tenant by allowing these certain amenities that come in, I think the best way to do that on top of that, in addition to, is to promote it accordingly, and video, I believe, is the best way. So we talked about video, renderings, Matterport. I would like to say, so let me just say briefly, yeah, he was speaking about the dollhouse view. I just want to show you on the lower left, this is how you control it. Again, Aaron did a great job, but so this is the dollhouse view. This is where we're kind of getting the three-dimensional aspect of the 3D tour, the floor plan overview, as well as this interactive walkthrough space. And say, let's just pick out a spot. Let's say right here, we're trying to come up with a measurement of, I don't know, this particular area. We can press the measurement tool and go from point A to point B to point C, however you'd like. We can press check, and then we can go focus and make other measurements throughout this particular area, and then still be able to come back to it for it to be there for them to make decisions. Again, applies to general contractors, subcontractors, and architects within making those decisions. And it could be a prospective tenant as well, whether it be like, we need to put a new desk. I'm just naturally thinking of office space, but we need to put a new desk here or there. Same thing with restaurants. What are the dimensions? How do we act accordingly? On top of Matterport tours, a relatively newer service that we're offering is a staging, renovation, and rendering aspect to Matterport. So this is the staged Matterport. If we press 0, this is the actual vacancy right here. And so we can help develop what this particular area looks like to help, again, show that vision. What is the potential of the space, and what do we do with it? Where, where is our front desk area? We can add new walls to help show, oh, this is what it's going to look like. Again, just based from this. So that's what I think of enhancing our current mediums like Matterport, like video, to further showcase, further envision those particular highlights, right? So that's what I was thinking. I want to make sure that I don't touch too much on what has currently been talked about. A few other fun things that we do is like, obviously within the staging route, you just saw that on Matterport, but just even for images, if you have a small office space, a small medical space, retail space where you're trying to show and bring new concepts or visions to what we're going to do with this area. This is a Rosedale office center, and this is like the lobby entrance. And so starting with on the left side, completely nothing, and then bringing a visualization to what that looks like, obviously works towards images as well. Along with renovation, we're talking about flooring and walls and putting a mural of St. Paul at the back of this area. That's what they wanted. And it's like, all right. And then virtual staging and renovation together. This is added wall trim, and they were going to add a logo right here. And I think even you can see on the right side, there's like a newer refrigerator, that you could implement within that particular area. So that's where I see opportunities within how we look at the improvement of spaces to further sell, right? Market and sell. So also works into floor plans as well. Like I said in the beginning, usually what I find within listings is black and white floor plans or Google Earth view. How do we make that look better by enhancing the floor plan to a 3D full color? So you have this overview. It's kind of like the Matterport dollhouse view a little bit, or floor plan overview, but we're making it more colorful. We're helping set, okay, this is what the desk and conference areas looks like. New lobby space, just an overall feel of what that is just from that specific layout, rather than an in detail ground level rendering. Obviously work into renderings in the interior and exterior, but doing a lot of industrial work with the exterior renderings. And we're just bringing a little bit higher up, a little bit more of a acting kind of like a bird's eye view or a drone view, along with like motion blur to help show, okay, there are cars that are driving by, something that's just a little bit more artistic than what's currently being utilized within the rendering aspect, but can apply again to essentially everybody that's trying to utilize this. So how much time do I have? A few minutes. I want to see.
Yep, you're good on time. If you wanted to show a short video, you certainly could, or whatever else you'd like to touch on.
Yeah, I mean, initially I just go over the numbers. Obviously, when we're thinking of interactive spaces, you're looking for engagement. And I think Aaron, again, did a fantastic job of, okay, how do we engage and what is going to be this metaverse? And that's the numbers behind it, is like 3 times the rate versus what you're finding within a 2D type of environment. Gives people in control, there's more context, and you have this user interface that brings you into you being able to feel like, oh, I'm right there, which is fantastic. Video, again, I would just say it's a standard. You look at, you know, simplest platform of Instagram 10 years ago versus today, made by the appreciation of photography, right? Was Instagram's model. And then today, TikTok and Instagram are saturated within video. So motion graphics is works according with that. When we talk about identifiers of, like I showed you, the call outs, property lines, after effects, any ways to keep us engaged and help show, okay, what is it exactly that we're looking at? Obviously drone shots are important, and just over executing to make it, you know, the picture look colorful, to make it look professional. There's one more thing that I want to talk about. What I can say within photography, I mean, it's so basic, but even from that basic of a level, what we're finding within the National Association of Realtors is it has a massive impact. Even if you're taking iPhone photos versus like what would be HDR photography, the difference is substantial within how people are reacting. So listings with HDR photos, this is where we see like 30%. They argue faster sales, but the views behind it is more views as a result of the buyer behavior. 60% of the time within a listing, the actual prospect is looking at the content. So 60% of the time is the content, 20% of the time is the broker information, and another 20% of the time is the actual information of the property. So the majority amount spent within a listing is actually on the content itself, but yet it's not being executed to its full extent. So to me, that's just a massive identifier, being like, hey, we can do a lot better with this and bring this into a market where there's plenty of potential. And if it's the first thing that the viewer sees, in this instance, it's photography, like, hey, let's bring that to the nines. That's a lot of what I have to say about what we're currently working on right now. I would say down the line, obviously hosting, if you need a hosting redirect link, we do have that for you, where you can just bundle everything into one package versus, having something here and there and within, versus basically emailing all these different assets versus putting this into one place. Just know that we've got you covered for that, and can have your contact information at the bottom. Just simple things like that is really what I'm trying to point out. But down the line, obviously company websites, there's plenty of potential within that, and branding and design, that's my background. So plan to work that more into the commercial real estate realm, and especially within the branding sense of how do we bring people back into the office, or how do we, I'm just seeing this from downtown Minneapolis, how do we bring people even back into downtown? Was at a CoreNet event last month, and for a substantial amount of time, they were talking about how branding is so important. So that's where I'm excited to be like, hey, there's plenty of opportunity for agencies and competitors to get in and to work into this particular industry, where it's like, now the wheels are turning. Now they're seeing like, we can go far and beyond with these current assets, and this will work to our advantage. So bottom line, it's time for us to readapt, essentially digitally. How do we enhance our reputation? How do we show that we're efficient through these technologies? And what's the best way to gain credibility is to showcase professionally. So that's Content Studios. That's all I got.
That's fantastic. That was great. I really appreciate what you presented, Kevin. It's very exciting, and you being a new business, you really got a great head start on what you're offering, and the locations you've already been working on are quite impressive. So I wanted to say a couple of things that stood out to me in today's presentation. The 75% retention of information that Aaron referred to when you're looking at VR versus just looking at a screen, that really stood out to me. And then what you mentioned about 300% more successful when you're using these tools, those are really impressive numbers and something to remember. I really enjoyed seeing your 3D renderings. I mean, you could even see the skyline off in the distance to give you that kind of depth perception of how far is this site from downtown Minneapolis. I thought that was very cool. I noted the skyline in the back of the image, and how you were able to point out 3 miles to this refuge or this wildlife preserve, and 2.5 miles to the Mall of America. That was really great. I also really enjoyed seeing the ghost train on Aaron's presentation. I thought that was really cool. And on Aaron's avatar. Kevin, maybe I'll ask you if you wouldn't mind stop sharing for a minute, and we can all kind of come back together as a group. And I really enjoyed seeing some of these awesome tips that you guys are using, these tricks and the ways to really get people engaged and have them remember. Like you said, you want it to stand out, and you want them to remember this when it's done. And 95% of the time, the buyers are going to the images first. So that's really important statistic as well. Matterport is something I'm going to have to look more into. I'm not in the design field. I'm kind of one of those that you referred to earlier, maybe not quite as a visionary. I'm a little bit more literal. And so I'm glad there's people like you out there that can create a vision for people like me that can see what could really be here and what is that going to look like. I like to see the stackable, it almost looked like Legos coming up and showing the different levels of stackable design that you showed, Kevin. That was very cool. I also love the sports cars. I don't know if those were foreigns that you were showing, but I liked those images as well.
It is a diner.
Yeah, that was Edina. I do want to give our audience an opportunity to ask any questions. We've got a few more minutes here before we wrap up. I don't know if anyone online wants to ask any questions of our group. Again, you can put it in the chat or you can reach out to me afterwards. Yes, Aaron, please.
Oh, it's on Kevin's audience. First of all, fantastic presentation, beautiful renderings. Just really, really high quality. It looks gorgeous. One thing since about the Matterport, which is kind of cool, it actually works inside VR. And so you can, if you have a Quest 2 and you go through the browser of the headset and you pull up that Matterport address, it'll give you an option to go in there in VR. You lose a couple of the tools, you lose like the measuring tool and stuff inside the VR interface, but you can walk through the whole building. And actually, when I moved, I just moved to Minnesota, Stillwater area last July. And I bought the house from California because they had a Matterport tour. And I was able to, I never actually came to visit once. I just walked through the place and was able to see everything. And the realtor could kind of guide you along. One thing the site consultants and the prospects really like about the 360 idea, whether it's in the renderings or is that they can look at what they want to look at. It's not just what you're showing them. And especially with site consultants, they all have different needs. Like that gentleman that had that the PlayStation 4 helmet on in the beginning, he says, I like it because I can look up and check out the crane system on the ceiling, when that might have never been the focus of the video in the first place. You know, you might be promoting something else. And if someone else is coming in and their specialty is something completely different, they might be looking at an area that you are forgetting to cover. And so really, really cool stuff. I want to add that in with the Matterport though, that you absolutely can get that feeling of walking through it. It's pretty neat.
Thank you, Aaron. Thanks for sharing that. And I also wanted to point out that I was recently at an event. It was for the CEO students. These are the high school students here in Wright County that are creating entrepreneurial opportunities. And at this fundraising event, the guest speaker talked about that there's 3 types of people out there. So I'm going to steal a little bit of his speech. There's doubters, there's dreamers, and there's doers. And so, you know, we all know there's doubters out there, people who just don't quite see it, or they're not certain that it can be done, whether it's a buyer or a municipality that isn't certain about planning and zoning types of things. Those are the doubters. But if people like you, the dreamers that can bring these ideas and these dreams to us, then we can all become doers and we can see this progress that's happening. These developments are going up and they're being done professionally and responsibly. So I give you both, Aaron and Kevin, a lot of credit for what you're doing and being on the front end of this. And I think that we'll be looking forward to seeing what you do in the future as you continue to grow. I know you're going to have great ideas, and hopefully we can have you back in a year or two at our next capacity building seminars, and you can present on some of the newer things you're doing. Did you have anything in closing that you'd like to share, Kevin?
No, I think this was a fantastic presentation. I think everybody did a great job. Aaron, again, congrats. Yeah, I mean, him talking about Matterport, I just naturally was thinking, okay, Redfin came out with an article 2019 to 2020, where nearly half of home buyers are making decisions sight unseen without actually seeing the property in person, to his point. Now, that was pre-pandemic. Once the pandemic hit, 20 to 21, it went up 18% to 63. So now you have majority of people that are making these decisions without actually being there. And so that's what I would suggest is the direction that we're going. Obviously, it's quite a different market, but I think there are still ways to move people further down that purchasing funnel.
Thank you, Kevin. Do you have any last final comments, Aaron?
No, but other than the future is exciting. This technology is coming out at just a breakneck speed. It's going to be really different in a few years. And these tools that Kevin and I are building are necessary to prepare yourself for what's coming. If you have this stuff now, you can use it then. And so very excited. Thank you, everybody, for attending.
Thank you guys again. You can view this or share the link with your coworkers or colleagues that you'll find on our website in a short amount of time. I look forward, hopefully I'll see Aaron at the next EDM event, Economic Development Association of Minnesota. And Kevin, if you aren't familiar with it, you should get a hold of us, and it's a great time. Thanks again, everybody, for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your Wednesday.
Sounds good. Take care.
All right. See ya. Bye-bye.